First thing I would like to point out here, it's a great discussion to be on our digital platform and have time to talk about it, is that no incident, whether it's a terrorist attack or any kind, in this integrated world, which is so much full of social media, information, and intelligentized kind of information available to more or less whole of the citizens, is isolated. So it's not an isolated incident in my analysis. So let's see what all has happened in the past. The Trump administration came into being, and Trump imposed tariffs in a big way on China. Chinese president wrote to our president that it's time for elephant and dragon to dance together. So there was a little positive indication that let's forget about what is the past, whether it's Galwan or otherwise, and let's work together. On Pakistan side, you see the General Munir, whom I think is not an agent of Pakistani military only, he's an agent of China and also an agent of Western powers, because he gets all his powers, all his weapons, all his resources from there. He drops a soft bomb and talks about Hindu-Muslim and a divide. Now connect this with, on our side, we have this Waqf bill into motion and lot of opposition to that Waqf bill. If we put all that dots together, you get one picture clear that it is not something which has happened in isolation. If it has not happened in isolation, so what are we trying to compare and contrast? There's a security architecture in Pakistan, which is the power structure of the Pakistan. And let me tell you, Pranav, this is only limited to Pakistani military, because they are the only beneficiaries. As far as the people are concerned, they are reeling under the pressure of inflation. They are reeling under the pressure of debt. The Pakistani rupee has fallen down to its worst value today with respect to dollars. The normal common things which are available to people over there are very costly, and they are inflationary pressures. There is an alienation which is already there all the time. From Punjab is ruling over the rest of the Pakistan. There is a BLA factor, and in recent past, a Pakistani military train was hijacked by the BLA fighters, which does not happen in a country where power structure is all stable. Sindh is suffering. The water which should go to them in normal times, I'm not talking about the suspension which has happened after the Pahalgam attack, was being denied because the generals in Punjab are routing it to their farmlands. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they're very happy that Talibani government has come there. They are fighting with them for the Durand line. So none of the parts, the four parts of Pakistan are really stable. That is the security architecture as of there, which only is of the military there. As far as our country is concerned, our security architecture, they thought if they drop a Hindu-Muslim bomb, we'll get into tatters. We remain unified. All parties have supported the government on its response. And we have multi-layered security architecture in our country, and everybody has its own place and its own role. So it's a conflict between one security architecture with another one. Despite we being democracy, democracy has its own, I would say, weaknesses or the fault lines, which adversary tries to exploit. In our case, he tried to exploit the HM thing. He said, Hindu-Muslim, if I do that, it'll seed a kind of conflict on streets for Bharat. It didn't happen. He must be dismayed, therefore he went into hiding after that, because it didn't come out the way he would have thought of. So if we put all that together, we find it's a fight between two nations, one democratic, multi-ethnic, multilingual, and multi-aspirants. There's nobody, you can choose your own government, and you have seen changes of government from one party to another in the past. So can a dictatorial regime which is only concentrated in few hands fight really the regime which is democratic, which is vast, which is economically stable, which is rising? No. The answer is no. That is also known to the adversary. But what can they do? They can do the poke strategy. They can poke us and make us believe that we are weak at this time. They can act as agents of China, and you relate it with the dragon and elephant dance, then you find that China is now looking for, after the tariffs, a market which is available to him, 140 crore Indians, out of which nearly 800 are middle-class Indians. So if this market is available to them, any other market actually in the world is not required for their goods. We have blocked that, and we have blocked that really correctly. Because that is not the way we are going to stop our Atmanirbharta campaign, which has been launched by the Prime Minister. But when you take the whole global picture in mind, now you asked a very, very potent question. What are the elements of national power? So the first element, I would say, and the most important element, is soft power. How are connected with various parts of the world, and that's geo-diplomatic power of this country. Which, if you see, since time this government came into being, let me name our Prime Minister, he has been making efforts to look east, and he has been traveling all the while to Muslim countries, to West, to European countries, to Russian. We were able to maintain a kind of balance, a stability during Ukraine and Russian war for such a prolonged war. That means our geo-diplomatic initiative will pay the dividends. It's a very strong power. Second is our own Indian origin. People who are there in various countries, they have absorbed or they have assimilated themselves in those countries and are part of, they have become citizens with loyalty to those countries and send a message that as far as India is concerned, it's for peace, prosperity and progress. They have been very good taxpayers over there. You take the statistic which is available for US, a small minority of 1.2% Indians pay nearly 3 to 4% of taxes over there. So they are welcome citizens. They have not created any kind of discipline issues or lawlessness over there. That's why they are welcome there. We have their support, soft support for us. People know that India nurtures and cultures in a manner that wherever you go, carry the message of peace and prosperity and progress. That is our second power. We come to the third one. The third one is that our financial rise. Unless you are financially powerful, there will be no way you can really fight a war, because war fighting is a very costly business. Every day, in case of a full-fledged war, we are going to spend minimum 10 to 20 millions of ammunition itself. Forget about the losses of weapon platforms. So, if you put them together, in a 7 days war, you're expected to spend nearly $10 billion. Chanakya also said once, and he has written, Chanakya Niti says, your power comes from your treasury. If your treasury is weak, the power is weak. That is for the military power, whether it's in the form of 3 forces or it is in the form of invisible forces, which are not visible to our citizens so overtly, like your space power. You have to have communication networks from space. You have to have electronic warfare networks from the space. You have to have the radio intelligence network from the space. You have to have the imagery network from the space. All that has to be available for you to really fight a war in its truest sense. Then on ground, you need electronic warfare elements embedded within your system. These electronic warfare elements give you the eye, what we call available. That's how we carry out our operations. And information warfare. So we talk about E-orbat, which is called electronic order of battle, I-orbat, which is called information order of battle. That has to be dovetailed. In today's war, net-centric operations will dominate. That means you do not bank upon the fixed operation center or situation board. It can be anywhere in the country, rear or front. It does not matter. So with all that taken into together, this power we have been enhancing and enhancing over a period of time. Sometimes people ask why India is having not so many people, because some time back we had more number of people in Army, Navy, Air Force visibly. We have less now. If you compare it with any kind of technologically advanced country, the power, number of people who go, we need more skills, more technology, and the numbers you can reduce. Because all special forces are like tiger, they're small and mean. You have to have that. So that's what is about this power. Now we come to our other weapon systems. I'm talking about kinetics. You have land platforms, you have air platforms, and you have marine platforms, whether submarines or otherwise. Numbers are already known to our people, so I'm not talking about that. But these numbers are there and they are developing. The greatest part here is that we are improving our indigenous content day by day, week by week, year by year. And it's happening. It may not be so visible as of now, but the ecosystem is getting generated and it's doing the job. If you really ask me, Pranav, I would say we are lack in one element of the national power. And that basic element is media power, our social platforms. You have an ISPR giving out the generals who have just retired honorably, the generals who have been posted out honorably. They are being propped up as if they have been penalized. So our media has to understand that the media today plays a very important role. It was as such known as the fifth column. This column has to be very, very strong now for us to put our word across, to get access, and to have access to print media. I was rather amazed and shocked that the people who are perpetrators, they are publishing articles in all the international papers. The journalists who are publishing articles are Pakistani. If that happens, naturally, they will write something which is not there. They did the job, and everyone knows the job because done after a particular kind of statement by the general, and then they go around play the victim card. How do you allow this? So this power has to be enhanced. This has to be put in place in a very structured manner. Then you have people's power. Our people who are unified, our political parties have unified for this, and they say whatever action is taken by the government, we'll be able to support it. Now you come to the national power which generates from all these factors. The people, the other structures, the politics, and the diplomatic initiatives. If you combine them together, then you have the national power or the national security architecture. This is what which protects you. Every citizen is an eye on the land or in the air. Otherwise, they only point out this guy is not ours. So we need to have our people together who are together, which people try to fragment. Now I'll come to that part. If this security architecture is in place, which fortunately in its place, as per my analysis, Pakistan's architecture is very weak. I just mentioned to you, the Baluchistan, Sindhis, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are already on a point of, at the level of disenchantment. They want to get rid of this Punjabi-centric military, which is oppressive in nature, which is unified, where all generals have become traders. They trade in so many things. And plus, you'll notice one pattern. After retirement, have you seen where are the generals? They don't stay in their own country. Musharraf went to Dubai. The last one is in UK. It happens that way. That means they do not find place in their own country to live after retirement. It's a tipping point. It's a tipping point, Pranav, for our country. If we just provide soft support along with the kinetic action, the goal of this initiative should be to bring all the four pieces apart. There are four pieces: Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Baluchistan, Sindh, and Punjab. What I'm trying to say, Our operations must aim that after this, you don't have a Pakistan, you have 4 parts. And that is the only solution to bring peace and we getting rid of the kind of terrorism we are facing. Because as long as military remains in charge, just to extend General Munir's period in the country or extend his assignment, he creates a problem. It happened with Musharraf. It happens with all of them. The military being charged of the whole thing and political authority being subsumed by them is not the way for a country. A country should have a civilian government. And I think even Pakistanis, Baluchis, or Sindhis, or Punjabis, or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pashtuns, they deserve this. It is their true fight, and they must get rid of this military, which is self-centric and doesn't look after its own people. That's my take on this.
Wonderful.